right, everybody, how you doing? Just had a very interesting conversation with President of Artful Dimensions Gallery. Had a chat with Christine Lush-Rodriguez. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present a very interesting artist with work that I just fell in love with. So, Christine, could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, I'm Christine Lush-Rodriguez. I'm here in Virginia, Fredericksburg, Virginia. I'm a ceramic artist, clay sculptor, I prefer, I suppose, rather than potter, because it's more sculptural than it is utilitarian, let's say.
It's really quite beautiful work, and we'll be showing some pictures here as we go along. And it's very organic, even though it's pottery. So it has this glaze to it that's very, it's hard, but yet it has a hardness and a softness to it, which is really, really wonderful, a wonderful feel to it. And to me, it feels somewhat Art Nouveau-ish. So can you, you were describing to me, Christine, how you weren't the 40 cups a day type of potter, the pottery person, right?
Right.
That had no interest to you, so you developed another strategy. So can you tell us your journey into what you're doing today?
Well, again, I didn't want to be a production potter, because not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's quite a few of those already. I wanted to be different and stand out, to be different. And so I sat down and wrote a list of all of my favorite things, and the top two on the list are the ocean, which I have an incredible love for. Used to go to the Jersey Shore every summer with my parents. They had a house there. And plants. I've always loved plants. So I sat down and was like trying to figure out, well, they take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, put it together and make something brand new. So that's how it started.
Oh, it's a great story. It's an awesome story. So you have like flowers. You're really good at petals and things like that. And you're spinning that in somehow to get a leaf? Do you spin it, or I don't really know much about pottery. So there's obviously you're doing some spinning, correct?
The base form on the inside, yes, I threw that on the wheel. It's the easiest way for me to be able to get the basic form, and then I carve into it and add slabs on to the outside, and they have to be stiff enough in order for them to hold their shape. So after I roll out the slab and cut the shape out, clean up the edges, bend it in the position I want it to be on the piece, then I let it have, I'll put a glaze jar under it or a rolling pin to keep that curve going until it's stiff enough that I then can score it and slip it onto the piece so that it looks more natural. And let's see.
Okay, I in fact have some of your work here. Okay, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the phone, but I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to get really small and tiny, and your work is going to be big and beautiful. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. How's that?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay. I really love. Can you see my cursor?
Yep.
This piece is just so much fun. Can you talk about this piece here?
Sure. I do like to go back through history and not necessarily copy a culture's work, but take something that they used to do, like the Greeks with their amphoras, and find a new way to make it relevant today. So here we have something that would be organic in the pod shape, with all the carved holes that was thrown on the wheel, and the amphora piece, which slides inside, it's a separate piece that can be taken out and used as a vase.
Fantastic! It's just so awesome, and you can see there's engineering involved. That piece, what did you call it? The angora? Amphora. That amphora has to sit in there. It can't. The opening has to be tight. It can't be loose. And how do you make that determination with this wet clay? You know, so there's engineering and lots of skill involved in those pieces, so that they don't fall over. You know what I'm saying? Rattle around. Am I correct?
Right. Well, and I had to make the pod first, carve it, and I actually had to bisque fire that in order for it to be structurally supportive of the piece to go inside it, because if it were raw clay, there's no way it could hold another piece inside. It's too thin and fragile.
Okay, you use the term bisque fire. Are there different ways to fire pottery?
Well, it's the first fire you do is called a bisque fire, and that makes it the clay vitrified, hard as it's going to be. All the air or water is removed from the clay. And then the next firing, they're all glaze firings, whether you do multiples and fire, several times or just once.
Okay, interesting. Now, another piece that I love is the one next to it. And so you have this sort of big, massive statement, right? And then you put these delicate little purple flower with a sort of
the tendrils.
Yeah, it's it's such a nice contrast between the one heavy sort of object and then the delicate ornaments. Can you talk a little bit about this piece?
Sure. Well, the body of the piece, I wanted it to represent like a barrel cactus,
sure.
A big cactus. And so I threw that on the wheel and altered it. So I dented in to have 4 bumps going up the sides where the dark areas are. And I actually then took really, really wet clay and you put it on a scraper similar to like a stucco effect. And I smoothed that and let it be kind of roughish horizontally all the way up the whole surface so that there's a texture involved on that piece.
Sure.
And then I put a hole in the top. I wanted that flower is actually removable.
Oh, that is cool. That's awesome.
So yeah,
you put another flower in its place if you wanted to.
Exactly.
Wow. How awesome is that? That's so much fun. Okay,
I'm trying to think of the purchaser as well, because to try to pack and ship that perhaps would be difficult.
Oh yeah.
With it attached, but separately the two get bundled as cocoons, and there's no problems.
So, can you give us a price range and what your work goes for?
Well, the cactus one's about $450, and
that's very generous. You're being very generous. $450 only.
Yeah, this I call Queen Kelp. That is multiple pieces that I threw on the wheel separately and then attached. Anything that's completely circular with the scalloped edges, that piece was thrown. The little egg shape on top was thrown and then carved. The piece it sits in is thrown and carved, but the petals, like the water lily petals underneath, are all hand built.
So the covering that's adorning the egg, that looks like it was a pain in the neck to do. That looks like it was, something that came to your mind and you were like, oh no, this is going to be a lot of work. Am I correct? Or was this a joy to do this thing on the top of the egg?
I kind of get into minute details and textures. So that may have taken about 4 or 5 hours to carve.
I imagine, yep.
Which is actually on the lesser side of some of my pieces, but I deal with carving it because I know it's going to look cool in the end.
It does look cool. It really, that texture really, centers the piece. It was just an egg, then it'd be like, oh, it's just an egg. But when you put that webbing, or I don't know how you would call it, it really gives it its own identity.
Thank you.
Okay, and how much does this piece go for?
That one's, I think, that one's $650.
Okay, and they say that Caravaggio used to always paint rotten fruit, put a rotten fruit in his basket, and this gave me, it almost looks like barnacles. This is very courageous, I think, for you to create something that looks like, you know what I'm saying? like a little
Right.
rusting here, some barnacle action. Which gave you the inspiration for this?
That's actually an interesting story. I was late to watch the movie Titanic.
Okay.
Because I figured, the whole thing is the boat sinks. So how interesting could that be? You know the ending. But when I finally saw it, I was more intrigued with the actual live footage of the ship underneath and all the rusticles hanging from the iron of the ship. And my mind starts flying around like, ooh, what would the pottery look like if it could have barnacles? Because it's too deep for barnacles, but what if it could? So then I started playing with that whole concept.
Wow.
That's where it came from.
So this is Titanic inspired.
Yes.
We can thank David Cameron for this piece.
And a whole line of barnacleware I've done after and since. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a fantastic story. I love the color. Is it hard to do that sort of, pastel, impressionistic, almost Monet-like texture?
Well, no, because separately it's the barnacles have a burgundy what's called an underglaze. It's like an acrylic or watercolor. You can blend it with water. I've painted the inside of every single one of them. Then I painted the outside edge and wiped it back with a paintbrush so it looks faded and kind of old. Then I went with a blue underglaze after lots of testing. This one color is not supposed to move, but when I put it underneath this green, it moves and does this beautiful blend.
It sure does.
So, yeah. It's a happy accident.
Yes, I love those. I love happy accidents. Okay. All right, and this one, piece de résistance. Yeah, baby. Look at this guy. I love this one. Yeah, this is your king. Can you imagine a chess set done like this? Oh my God.
Well, the funny thing is the fins it has, the beige fins on the sides with the holes in it, that was actually inspired by looking at a trucker at a stoplight that I looked over, and he had a baseball cap on it with all these holes, that they had the flat front, and then the back all the way around had mesh holes in it, and it made me think, oh, I could put holes in my fins, and so that's what inspired that guy. You never know what
never know where the inspiration comes from.
Right.
No, and so I'm sure when the light hits this, you get interplay of the light going through those holes into the piece.
Uh-huh.
And what do you call it?
That's a king coral.
King coral. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Now this is a really quick interview. So we didn't really prepare. So I'm going to go off of screen share here. Stop share. So we'll be back to us. There we are, nice and big. So do you have something in your studio that you want to show us? I don't want to, there's nothing prepared. So if there's nothing prepared, there's nothing prepared. We'll do another interview. But is there anything you want to show us or tell us?
Well, I mean, on the computer, I can show you a piece that's in the gallery right now. I don't have anything that's done here.
Okay, fair enough. If somebody wants to purchase your work or see your work, where do they go?
Well, my website is www.fruitoid.com. And then also you can go on the Artful Dimensions Gallery website, which is artfuldimensionsgallery.com. That's the gallery that I'm the president of in Fredericksburg.
Awesome. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that I'm doing these interviews is that I've always loved the Actors Studio. James Lipton and the Actors Studio. Are you familiar with the program?
Okay.
Okay, and he's got Bernard Pivot, who's like the Johnny Carson of France, and he asked these 10 questions. Are you familiar with the Pivot 10 questions?
Not all of them, no.
Would you mind answering the 10 questions of Bernard Pivot that
is always asked at the end of the Actors Studio?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, awesome. Here we go. Christine, question number 1. What is your favorite word?
Of mine?
Yes.
Or, because a famous artist would be Georgia O'Keeffe, but of my pieces, it would have to be.
No, your favorite. What is your favorite word?
Oh, word. Sorry, I thought you said work. Word. Love.
Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Lies.
Great. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
The ocean.
Awesome. What turns you off?
War.
Absolutely. What is your favorite curse word? No!
Sorry. Are you there?
you went blank. That was awesome. Did you do that by design?
No,
No.
my husband was calling, so I declined him.
Oh.
So what was the question again?
What is your favorite curse word?
Curse word.
There it goes again. This is awesome. Go ahead, talk to your husband. We can continue on.
Want me to?
Yeah.
Well, I just hung up on him again.
Okay.
Favorite curse word? Shit.
All right. Mine too. What sound or noise do you love?
Waves breaking on the ocean or on the beach.
Absolutely. What sound or noise do you hate?
Bass on a stereo, really boomboxy.
I hear you. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Being an oceanographer.
There you go. What profession what profession would you like not to do?
Being dyslexic, anything where it involves a lot of reading and writing.
Okay, I hear you. Especially with the computer, my neck starts hurting, not much fun. All right, and the last question, Christine. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you reach the pearly gates?
You've done well.
Perfect. All right, Christine, thank you so much for letting us into your art world and giving us a moment with us. And I'll let you get to your husband.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. What do I do?
That was awesome.